We're seeing the reports everywhere, 30,000 accounts potentially compromised. Can you give us a sense historically and in scope, how big is this attack? And does it have the potential, or has it already touched the markets or companies that we rely on for investing or just for banking?
Yeah, this is a huge hack. This is probably one of the largest hacks that I've seen in over 15 years. Just the breadth and the scope of what we're seeing from the Chinese group that we're seeing in this specific case. What's interesting about this is that 30,000 right now is just the low end estimate. We fully expect that number to substantially grow worldwide. We're talking hundreds of thousands. Our teams are working nonstop, 24 hours a day from an incident response perspective, trying to battle all this. This is one of the largest hacks that we've seen. And we're still trying to assess the full extent and damage and what the objectives were from the Chinese and why they were doing this. So we normally don't see this type of overt action going after hundreds of thousands of potential companies. It's very unusual for them.
So you called it overaction. Obviously, this is large in scale. But I think the real question is, what do we do next? Now, we've been looking at the cybersecurity stocks today, some of them up, some of them down, some differences in performance. But the question is, should investors have confidence in our U.S.-based companies? Can they protect us from these kind of attacks going forward? And if so, what do companies need to do?
Yeah, this is a shifting and changing market all the time. We just saw recently with the big supply chain SolarWinds attack that happened. Previously to that, there were a number of other big data breaches that we see out there, and we continuously see this happening. Cybersecurity is one of those industries where you continuously need to evolve and to innovate to ensure that you're identifying what these types of threats look like. And while you might not have been able to identify this initial specific precise attack, what the hackers did after the fact around going after the systems and the probing that they did of those systems, those are things that we can absolutely detect upon. And those are what companies really need to be focusing on is, responding to these much faster and minimizing the damage, as well as, responding much faster. Microsoft got wind of this in January. Unfortunately, we just got the patch in March, and all this exploitation was occurring during this period of time. We have to move much faster to respond to these in the future. So yeah, absolutely. These types of things can be prevented. It's a matter of companies really bolstering their security defenses and focusing on their defenses, most specifically around detection.
Unlike other technology firms like Facebook and Twitter, David, that have not had access to the Chinese market, Microsoft does. It's been on the mainland since 1992. I'm wondering how you think that relationship between Microsoft and the Chinese changes following this attack.
It's unfortunate. What we're seeing today from a cyber warfare perspective is that there's little to no rules or regulations or any type of rules of engagement. It's kind of the wild, wild west. The United States hacks into China. China hacks the United States. We hack into Russia. Russia hacks into us. But the difference is that, we're primarily focused on intelligence gathering, whereas China and Russia are focused on intelligence gathering as well as intellectual property theft. You saw a lot of the hacks happening around the vaccine research that was occurring for COVID-19. There's really no rules that are happening here. And unfortunately, until we have a discussion around what cyber warfare actually means and ramifications for those, these things are going to continue to happen from these state-sponsored organizations. And unfortunately, they're going to be more and more frequent as things come along, and especially as our relationships kind of deteriorate in all those different areas. Unfortunately, this is one of many to come.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.